Yes.
When are we going to talk about mental illness? Tonight. Coming at you live. We're basically talking about fluid exchange, right? We're going to discuss
Essentially.
2001's A Beautiful Mind, which I feel like it should have been called A Beautiful Heine and been just about Jennifer Connelly, but we'll get to that. Uh, First things first, did you guys bring your notes for the Riemann hypothesis? We're gonna get really deep into trying to solve the Riemann hypothesis. So hope you're ready for that.
I got it. I bought a used
Also,
textbook.
you got it? Okay. Joe's
Yeah.
gonna try and solve it tonight. That comes up later towards the end of the show. So stay tuned. But for now, you might as well take some of this time to hit buttons on your screen, like, subscribe, choose the bell, share.
Become a member. Check out our Patreon. Hit
Post
the
it to
gift
your
shop on your
page,
way out.
and let us know.
Cher has endorsed this show, so
Right, right.
if you like Cher,
Share, James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Paul Rudd all have said covered in film is my favorite way to get reviews on movies that have been out over 20 years. Uh, so let's get into it. We've got
we've
A Beautiful Mind. It's a beautiful film. Or is it? Russ, what'd you think about this movie? Give us a rating and a grading.
how do I sound? Do I sound okay? Sound
You
good,
sound
right?
like a fucking idiot.
Okay, I sound good. It's you. Anyways, I realized I had never seen this movie.
Really?
No shit.
Yeah.
Before your
So that was
blockbuster days, huh?
I know. I don't know how that happened, but that was a nice surprise. And
Very interesting.
it was fantastic. I mean, I enjoyed it from start to finish. I don't know if I would even change anything about the movie. I think Russell Crowe did a fantastic job, but there were a few scenes where I thought he was a little forced. Overall, I give it an A.
Nice.
Another A. I think this is the 18th movie in a row. Is everybody just turning off their cameras? It's a cameraless show. It's cool. Whatever. I didn't record to the cloud, but it looks like I should have. All right, an A. Well, Joe, what are your thoughts about A Beautiful Mind from 2001?
Oh, sorry. I had to check out there for a second. Beautiful Mind. I like it. This was probably my fourth time watching it. I saw it in the movie theater. It was better this time around than the previous 3 or 4 times. I feel like every time a little tidbit pokes its head out that makes it even better for me. You know, the way they shot it, how until an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, you didn't really know. I
Right.
mean, if you went into this movie cold and didn't know anything about it,
Yeah, I did not. I was like, this is awesome. As that shit was unfolding me. I can't believe I didn't know anything about this movie.
it's very Sixth Sense in that regards. As you watch it again the second time and you see all of these interactions with people that aren't there and didn't exist, it changes the context for each scene on a micro level even. So it's an A+ for me. I think it was exceptionally well done.
Wow.
I think they had some great actor picks.
I mean, it did have Judd Hirsch.
Right. I
I
mean, how
mean,
can you be
Jennifer
wrong with
Connelly.
that?
Do we need to
Right.
say it again?
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer Connelly.
I mean, Jennifer Connelly. Yeah, that's
This
all right.
movie, like as I was watching it and watching her in it, I realized Why did I forget about her? She is awesome.
Yeah,
Dude,
she was
the
just in
guys.
Top Gun Maverick,
Oh yeah,
which
I haven't
yeah,
watched it
she's
either.
like in her 50s now, and still you see her, and it's like, holy shit, you're still coming with it.
Yeah,
A
still bringing it.
plus, wow, A plus.
Uh,
I feel like
all the
this.
all the all the
I
preppy
recall
college kids were great. Josh Lucas, Adam Goldberg, those guys filled those roles so perfectly.
that
Anyway,
kid who
Whenever I
said
see
Kevin
Adam
Spacey
Goldberg,
sexually assaulted him. Yep, he was decent. He was decent.
we
As they
we
come
have
up,
to
I'm all
do.
Mellish, Mr. Home Depot, the Kevin Spacey sexual assault accusation guy. Cool.
Okay, wait. Let's come back to that at some point because I have some commentary about that actually
Me
ties
too.
into this movie. To my
Me
notes.
too. It's how
Okay.
doers get more done.
What?
all right. So talk shit about my A plus rating.
All right. I had to spend $4 to watch this movie again. I watched it once before and thought, who gives a shit? And here I am watching it again. I feel like there was a whole series of movies like this. There was a whole series of movies like, amazing stories that, it's not people who changed the world, but they kind of did. And here, get to know them. It's a decent movie, and it's Ron Howard too. So, we're going to talk about the run of heaters he had, a 14-year span he had of just the best movies to come out. But overall, like, I wrote the note. I got through Princeton, and all I can think is, who gives a shit? Uh, this movie does not grab me. It doesn't. The whole time I'm like, where is the excitement? Where is the hook? What am I supposed to be caring about? I mean, his apparition was right. His roommate is a dick. He knocked over that go board and then didn't gentlemanly pick that shit back up. What the fuck, dude? So yeah, I give it a C minus. The only reason to watch this movie is Jennifer Connelly. That's it. That's it. She's at the
Damn,
top of her
dude.
game.
I
Top of
kept
her game.
I'm
In this
so glad
movie.
you gave it that rating, but the whole time you were doing that, I just kept waiting for you to say that you were joking and you weren't, which makes me think you are in such a bad mood this week. You're such an
No,
asshole.
no. When I've seen this movie before, and when I watched it, I thought, where is the substance in this movie? I cannot see where I'm supposed to care about these people. In retrospect, I dislike it even more, and let's lay it out right now. 2002
Damn.
Academy Awards. All right. 2002 Academy Awards. This movie won Best Picture.
Did.
Okay. It went up against Moulin Rouge. So thank you. Yes, horrible fucking movie. How can you find a movie worse than A Beautiful Mind? It's Moulin Rouge. Gosford Park, never saw it. In the Bedroom, actually a very great drama, but best movie of the year, I don't know. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. This takes Best Picture instead. Fuck you, Ron Howard. Fuck you. There's no way. There's no way.
Hey, okay, but the thing
Hey,
that I
but
wanted to
Jennifer Connelly
say,
did win Best Supporting Actress, so again, C minus. It
she
gets
did
bumped
win
up a
Best
bit.
Supporting Actress. She did win Best Supporting Actress, but Russell Crowe was nominated for Best Actor, and he
Right,
did
lost to
not win.
Training
And
Day.
he lost to Kevin Spacey for
No, he lost to Denzel Washington for Training Day.
No, he lost to Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
I'm pretty sure that's a different year.
Well,
But okay, let's agree to disagree.
Your notes are less fun than mine, so we're gonna go with mine because here's my question: Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, which one is a worse person in real life? Both have won Best Actor. and one beats women, one rapes boys. Who is
right.
worse?
I don't. Let's just. That's a hefty accusation. He didn't actually do any raping. It was he thought he was cool enough to force people to be restrained by him. He assaulted people, but no actual rape. But Russell Crowe
Wait a
did
minute.
throw
Wait.
phones at people and is in a band called 30 Odd Foot of Grunt, and probably I've never listened to it, but I'm sure it's horrible.
So wait a minute.
So
Did
who's
I
the
just
worst person?
hear you apologize for Kevin Spacey while
No.
saying throwing phones is worse?
Not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying.
And
I'm
tying people
saying
up.
you are no tying, whatever.
Wait, one more time.
I'm
I
not.
think this came up last episode where I had a throwback
I don't think
to
so.
the amount of times that you have called me a Nazi sympathizer for saying
I'm
I
pretty sure if
think
you're being
World War
accurate,
II
it's how many times you have sympathized with
World-
Nazis.
No, just because I like World War II movies, you get to throw that around. But I never went and I was like, Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy. You're over here like backing up Kevin Spacey's rape.
God, I wish I had like a soundbite to play it from Downfall where you're like, you know what this movie does? Hitler, not so bad.
Yeah, the movie did that.
Click the button.
Dude,
The movie
Anyway.
did that. I didn't do it.
Anyway,
I'm speechless.
I'm sure
right
it's
now.
Kevin Spacey is the worst person. I mean, one is a predator, the other guy is just a complete prick. I'm sure age has mellowed them both, and imagine Kevin Spacey's life now. Like he doesn't get to be a person.
Sing.
He's got to just hide from everything.
Did you see he's kind of coming back? He's doing something. I forget.
I didn't. His next step must be playing a funny role in a Marvel film, just like Russell Crowe just did. Oh wait, Russell Crowe was in Love and Thunder, so it makes him the worst person.
Oh, he
Which
is.
top-
That's right.
Yeah, he's
right.
Zeus.
And really,
Horrible
that was
fucking movie.
horrible.
It was
Horrible
bad.
movie.
Not as bad as Doctor Strange, but we'll litigate that later.
Oh yeah. So okay, here's what happened to Kevin Spacey
All right.
recently. Italy is apparently on your side, Ben, because Italy, they have like their own version of the Academy Awards. It's called Bullshit,
Right.
and Bullshit gave him the Lifetime Achievement Award. And he went over there and accepted it. He looks so fucking happy in these pictures. Not one
I'm
time did he
sure.
go up there and say, "I'm sorry for the rapings." Not one
No.
time.
Of course not. He's trying to just forget about it. He probably like wanted to bring up Harvey Weinstein and be like, that guy, huh? Whoo. Is Italy
totally
where
killed
Roman
himself.
Polanski hid too?
I
Heavy
think so.
indictment of
Yeah.
Italy.
With all the
This
bullshit
movie was
people.
named one of the 20 most overrated films of all time by Premiere Magazine. Thank you, Premiere Magazine. You are 100% correct.
I
Ben
want you
just
to
like
note that
Google
Ben just cited Premiere Magazine as a source of a qualified movie review.
Ben just
I'm
spent
just going to call that out.
Ben
Right
spent
here.
the last week just Googling bad things about this movie to back him up.
I didn't need a whole week. It took me half an hour.
User 4421 on Rotten Tomatoes gives it a thumbs down.
Ron Howard, more like Ron Dummy. Who knew Opie'd grow up to make amazing films, though? Like, this guy has made some of my favorite movies in the past 30 years or so. I don't want to get in the wad too quick. Do you guys have no rebuttal? Like, you're just laughing at me trashing this movie, and it seems like you're willing to go with it. You know this movie's shitty. You know
You
it.
guys have been talking about everything but the movie. The movie itself, I still think is well done.
That tracks. That's kind of our thing.
All right. So for me, this isn't a play on words, but it's a beautiful story. I think your whole thing about who gives a shit, I give a shit. This fucking guy who literally has schizophrenia stops taking pills and just decides to fight his mind so that he can keep his wits about him, and goes on to win the Pulitzer Prize in economics.
Nobel Prize.
And
Which is basically like an eighth grade
Nobel
trophy
Prize,
for your
sorry,
soccer
not
team.
Nobel Prize. Right.
like
Also, very staunchly hated the Jews.
And redefined.
So let's talk about your connection
No, he
there,
didn't.
Russ.
No, he did
Yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Look
he
up the
didn't.
trivia. He was married twice. Same person both times. So that means he married her, cheated on her with men and women, and then they got married again later. Also, Jennifer Connelly, one of 8 people to win an Academy Award for playing a non-white real life person and being white herself. This movie is rife with bullshit.
She wasn't not white in this movie. What was she?
You're right, but the real Alice Nash, El Salvadorian. Salma Hayek was considered to play this role originally.
Did you look at a picture of her? She looks like the Grandma Baker white woman. Like, she's not. I think they got it.
What just happened?
Did you say Aunt Jemima? God damn, Russ. What the fuck is going on?
I said white woman. God damn it.
White Baker woman, even.
Hey, also, fun fact that I read about this movie, John Nash, because I was talking about the whole pill thing. He, in real life, he completely stopped taking the pills. I don't know if you remember, they show that he started taking the better pills later in life, the more advanced ones. They added that in because the screenwriters didn't want to make a movie that promoted don't take your medication, you crazy people out there.
You might be able to overcome your serious mental illness if you buck your medication. Yeah. One of the best things about this movie is some of the smart turns they took as far as the message that may be portrayed with how they talked about it. They also were going to delve into his bisexuality as well, but thought that maybe the schizophrenia coupled with the deviant behavior, as they were going to call it, may have kind of done a correlation and would piss people off. So yeah, another good idea there. Again, Ron Howard, smart dude. Brian Grazer as well, of course. I mean,
okay, so to complete my thought, Joe, you can chime in a minute here, but it's a great story. I summed up what the guy's life was about, and you had to throw in bisexuality, like demonizing him, crazy person.
I'm not at all. I'm just saying, just like you were saying,
okay.
they made some smart choices.
Week. It's okay. So, but the movie itself is just entertaining. Like, if it was just a story that Stephen King wrote about a person who has schizophrenia, and as the viewer, you don't find out until an hour and 10 minutes in, like Joe says, like, I was all bought in that the communists were chasing him until they give him that shot.
Nice.
And they chase him down. And like, and his buddy and his niece are just watching him get carried away, and he's like, no, stop them, it's the communists. And then as the communists have him, you realize, like, oh, they're not communists. He's got something wrong with him. And his friend was in on it. And then you find out his friend isn't even real, and like all these layers. It was really good. And then watching him struggle through his marriage, and she's stuck there with him. And
that's really crazy.
Wanted to stop taking the pills for her. And he was like crying when, like, Jennifer Connelly coming on to me like that, I'm not going to roll over. But
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That is one of the better, Ron Howard's a great filmmaker, and that is one of the better, and that's actually the screenwriter. There's a whole great story about different people possibly being tapped to be the screenwriter, and then Akiva Goldman winning it out because he had such a passion for the project and like wanted to really give a great script for this story. And one of the things that was his idea was you are going to follow along with John Nash through the first half of the movie to where you don't know that something weird is going on, just like he didn't know. Interesting fun fact about the real life guy, never had a visual representation. It was all audible. So not a great movie that way, obviously. So good choice in making it visual. But yeah, like Ed Harris, like the whole Ed Harris thing was convincing.
Oh yeah, no, I liked Ed Harris for that role. I think it was cast well. Uh, I thought when I looked into it and found out that he didn't have the visual hallucinations, that it was all auditory. That all right, I mean, that took a little bit away from it for me as far as authenticity, but just the storytelling, like I think that they did an excellent job taking this man's story and converting it to a visually compelling uh a visually compelling story. You know, I felt engaged. I know you say what the fuck with this movie, and I'll agree. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about like the ultimate white privilege. This mentally disabled kid goes to Princeton, you know,
Yep.
because of
Yep.
his background and all the other fun stuff, and he wins a Nobel Prize in economics. I mean, it doesn't get any more, you know, privileged than finding yourself on that track. You know, he didn't pull himself up from the gutter. He's no fucking Albert Einstein, any of that other fun stuff. But
Right.
overcoming his difficulties to the way they portrayed it, you know, overcoming his difficulties to, you know, reach his own level of success, and then overcoming his demons with his mental things, the commitment
Yeah.
that was portrayed to wanting to be engaged in the real world and getting over his, you know, realizing his mental illness, addressing it, coming to terms with it. I think the movie's got a lot of really strong messages on a lot of different levels, and I think it was done well. It really does. The first time you see it, you get to the hour and you're like, oh shit, and then you watch it the second time and you're like, oh shit, and you watch the third time and you're like, god damn, look at that. Like
Yeah. The visual
when he
cues.
first, yeah, when he first gets the shot and he wakes up and the doctor's talking to him and he looks in the corner and his buddy is crouched in the corner, and you're like, at that point, I'll be honest with you, the first time I saw it at that scene, I still wasn't convinced. I still hadn't, it still hadn't clicked for me that those people weren't real. And then when his friend just sat there in the corner and his doctor was like, who are you talking to? Like, I literally had to, for me, the first time I watched it, I was literally the target audience. I didn't get it until the doctor was like, who are you talking to? There's nobody there. And it
Yeah.
was,
Right. Yeah.
oh.
This is
Yeah,
I was
like
that's
like, oh,
with
I see dead people.
right.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of correlations between the great, you know, Sixth Sense, I think a lot of people would say, especially on the first watch through, if you don't know anything about it, it's amazing. It really kind of blows you away. And then you find out like every time there's a dead person on screen, you're seeing red, or red is somehow incorporated. He uses those tricks in here as well, like the lighting, the flashes, things like that. It's all used to kind of cue up what's real and what's not. I honestly feel like one thing this movie could have benefited from the most was a little bit of a stronger score. I felt like the score to the movie
Oh
was
yeah,
just
the
kind of
music was
totally normal.
sad.
Right.
Totally
I felt
lacking.
like it could have used, you know, if you would have brought John Williams in on this motherfucker, this is a B plus for sure. But the score didn't match all of the tricks and cool stuff they did with the filmmaking. It needed a better score.
all right. Wait, two things. One's
2.
the answer to your score question. I would agree with you just because that's what I'm used to
42.
in movies. However,
Uh-huh.
the score in this movie did remind me of Being Crazy. So I'll give it that.
See, and I
Okay.
think it could have even done better. I think they should have gone one way or the other, and they landed in blah bland oatmeal land.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
when
the
they were
scene
when they
the
were in
scene
that
with the
car
baby in the
chase scene,
bathtub. Like that
Oh
when he
yeah,
runs out to the car and says she never ages, like that should have been like thunderous. But instead it's like, where's the buildup in this? Like I get that it's tense and it's holy shit, is he really gonna leave that baby in there? But like the music just is lagging to where that emotional piercing should be to me.
the music didn't
See,
mature with the storyline.
for me,
Like the
the
music that they had in the beginning fit the first hour of the movie, but after that hour mark, when his illness is revealed, everything should have escalated. It should have become bigger. It should have been bolder. It should have been more poignant. You know, they definitely should have been
Joe,
drawing those moments out.
it shouldn't be an A plus then if you've got complaints. But
Because
I
I have A
actually
plus pluses out there, so
I don't have a complaint about the m- music or audio in this at all. I actually thought the lack of music kind of emphasized the isolation of what it's like to be crazy. But the one time where the the music, I was like, what the hell is going on? The car chase scene where Ed Harris is like driving around telling him to shoot things, and he's like, I will not. And it's, I don't know if you guys took a mental note of it, but the music in that scene is ridiculously weird. Then when I found out he was crazy later, I was like, okay, that none of that actually happened, and he's crazy. And if I were to watch this movie again, the music might actually fit the scene. But
He's
at the
just
time where I
driving down the
watched it,
street like a fucking nut yelling at himself. People are like, holy shit. What's
just
going on with this?
slamming on the brakes really hard at the water, and then walking out with a gun and like pacing around.
dude, I even made
whatever
a
the
note.
fuck happened there.
That was what I picked up on this watch through. Actually, was every interaction ends up with no way to trace it. You know, so the bad guys
Right.
that were chasing him end up in a car in the river. You got to go dredge the river to get proof that that happened.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I mean, in his mind, government was involved to make things disappear. But there was, in this movie, at least from what I saw in my one watch through, I couldn't think back on anything that I was like, well, then that didn't make sense. Like, I don't remember somebody picking something up while other people were around, and like it, something like that
Yeah.
would have been floating across the room or something.
Dude, the
Um,
first
To me,
giveaway
that's
for
a testament to Ron Howard. 100%. That guy knows movie making. Opie grew up to make some great fucking movies.
and the first drop they give you that his buddy, his roommate, isn't real is when he's at the bar playing pool
Right.
with his
Right.
roommate.
Yeah.
He's playing
And
by
Josh
himself.
Lucas walks in and he's like, this week at the Home Depot, lighting fixtures are on sale.
Aisle nines, ropes, chains, and tuck
I go
tape.
That's
back to
right.
that scene where he pushes the desk out the window, though, and I'm like, oh, so he just threw it out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, himself. Yeah.
Just
I actually
got
remembered
frustrated.
that scene differently because I remembered them looking up and seeing only him. But on this watch through, I realized like they didn't accentuate that point. They didn't show his roommate there from the inside scene and then from an
No,
outside
not
scene as a
until
bird.
not until
It's
he's a
literally
danger.
the
They
first.
even reveal it at all. I feel like all the Paul Bettany roommate stuff at the beginning is really well done.
Oh yeah.
Except for
Him
how
and his
come,
roommate drinking on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
So
the first time the first time they come up to him and he comes back and he's got his niece. Yeah, I mean it's all exceptionally well executed.
I got a thing to like throw out there. I'll start by saying this movie's it's two different movies. It starts as like you're watching the crazy mystery, and then you figure out that he's actually got schizophrenia, and it leads into this whole other subplot, and there's no more of what the whole first half of the movie was about. It just transitions to a completely different story.
Yeah, it starts out as a
And
spy movie and ends up as like an almost tragic drama.
yeah,
Awakenings and
which
shit.
which actually had a happy ending, which I like. We cover a lot of movies on this show that aren't happy even at all.
Oh
But
yeah, he wanted it to end with a positive message. Even though he did get naked at his actual
So
Nobel Prize acceptance. Just kidding. Yeah.
no, he did not. Um, but I felt like
I got the trophy,
this
bitches.
movie
Streaking.
this movie had a lot of scenes in it that during the later part of it, it's very much just about his relationship with his wife. It's about him trying to get some control over his mind and find some kind of reason to be a person, but also
Yeah.
just his relationship with his wife. And there were so many parts of that where it reminded me of my relationship with my wife, and like just thinking, would she be able to do that for me? And like at this moment in time, I do think that she would stick through it with me because she's the
Oh,
perfect person. But
she's a
I
good job, Russ.
and so when I get to those like little moments when I can draw those uh like tangents to my own life in the movie, like I get more emotionally connected, you know. And then as things happened, it means more to me. And the scene where he gives his acceptance speech, which is actually a fictional speech, I was disappointed to hear.
Right.
He thanks all he does is it's like a 30-second acceptance speech where he just goes up and he says, thank you to my wife, like you're my entire world, you're the only reason I'm alive, and you're the only thing I care about. And then he walks away, and I cried for that scene. And
Wait, this movie
I
actually made you cry?
yeah, and I had
Wow.
a realization as I watched that, and I did cry. Like I'm not like it wasn't blowing my nose and everything, but I'd cry like
Dude, he was ugly crying like a 12-year-old.
moisture came out of my eyes and rolled down my face.
There was snot.
But I find myself since we started doing this, I cry more during movies now than I used to. And it's again, it's not like heavy crying or anything, but it's like fuck that. I
An
always would
emotional
have just
connection.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
fair.
Did you have one, Joe or Ben? Did you have it for like any of the rape scenes with Kevin Spacey and American Beauty?
I fell asleep in this movie
Damn.
eventually.
God damn.
I
The
was
most
like,
powerful
yeah,
scene
at
for
the end.
the most powerful scene for me in this movie was when she walked into the shed. Like
Yeah, right.
all of the other that for me, that was the most powerful depiction of his mental illness in the entire
Yeah.
film. Right. So when it first gets uncovered and she goes to his office and sees his office, and you see his office in the real world for the first time, and you're like, all right, it's a little crazy, but dude works for a government agency, so cut him some slack. You know what I mean? All right, cut him some slack. All right, so you're crazy, but you did some good. All right. No, dude. When she goes into that shed and it's so decrepit and just run down and so obviously, dude, the crazies live here. This is where
Right.
we go for the
Yeah.
crazies. And it
Full
was
on.
like,
Dude,
Yeah, it was
I
like, wow.
I was so tense as she was running back into the house and you see the water coming up over
Oh
the
yeah.
baby. Like I wanted to turn my head and like just go to the bathroom and let that part play out. I did not watched it, but it was a hard scene to watch.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, most poignant scenes in the movie.
And
And
she
just the look
still
on his face when he comes back in. And I feel like that was actually the favorite scene that I had for Russell Crowe as far as an actor and portraying it, because you saw as he was saying such and such was watching the baby, he already knew as he was saying it that that
Mm.
person wasn't real.
Oh, dude, he's got shit in his blood that's dissolving so that he can see the secret fucking invisibility field. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
one of
like
the things
I couldn't even imagine.
I had actually gotten Blockbuster shout out. There was a 2 disc set for this movie when it came out on DVD, and the second disc had a lot of special features, including some interviews with the actual John Nash. And I never forgot and found it really interesting when he's talking to him, and the real John Nash is actually, he talks to him about some of the theories and that, and he's like, so I can't indulge my penchant for patterns and trying to solve complex problems that may have repeating issues. And you can even see, like, as he talks about it, he gets this little look like maybe he hears something about out of the corner of his ear and he's focused on not paying attention to it. Really, really interesting to think somebody would actually live with this. Even more interesting to think that Paul Bettany and Jennifer Connelly got married shortly after this movie. Like, what a lucky son of a bitch Paul Bettany is. God
Are
damn.
they still married though?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to call him up and find out.
Well, if they're still married, then Paul, this Guinness is for you, brother.
That's right. That's
I
right.
mean, that
Speaking of
guy
which,
is
we've
the
been dancing
vision.
around it long
So
enough. Huh? Russ is going to find out. Russ wants the
yeah,
love connection.
he he was married 2003. They've been married ever since. Also, he's the vision. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like she gets to
Yep.
say my
That's
husband's the vision.
I really like
that's right.
him in A Knight's Tale. That's probably my favorite role for him.
Yeah, honestly. All right, so I wanted to ask a different question earlier and Joe just reminded me. When I see him, I think of A Knight's Tale.
Oh yeah, every time.
I wanted to ask you guys, when you guys see Ed Harris, what do you think of?
Oh, dude,
Shit.
welcome to the Rock, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Right
three
in the
movies I think
abyss.
of, but for me,
God,
I
I
don't
can't
know
remember the
why.
name of it right now.
The top of
Fuck,
my
I gotta
list
Google
for
it real
me
quick.
that is the villain in History of Violence. I don't know why that's the first
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's what I
You
think
know what
of. And then I think Radio, and then I think of The Rock.
radio.
The
Oh my god.
Rock.
Anyway,
Good
he was
God.
in Westworld as the Man in Black, which I thought watching that first season of Westworld, I was so disappointed that they were going
Ah,
to evolve out of Westworld. Have either one of you guys watched that movie or
I
that show?
have.
HBO show.
I
Dude,
have.
I was like, where are you going? The best part of this show is this rich Elon Musk style mogul spends all of his spare time being the villain in this Western program. Like, that's so compelling, dude.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, no, to me,
No, I
he's always
really.
stand down, soldier.
There it is. The right stuff. I always think
Really,
of the
that's a
right
Right
stuff.
stuff.
callback right there.
Yeah. No,
When's
I
the
Okay, wait.
last time you
always
One
watched
think
the
of
right
him.
stuff?
one more. When you
Probably
guys
like
think
5
Adam
years ago.
Goldberg, do you only think
Mellish.
of Saving Private Ryan?
No,
Yeah.
he was also in a movie where he Dazed and Confused. He was actually with the sexual assault accuser as well. They both play friends in that movie as well.
He's in a few things. He's in Zodiac. He's in Deja Vu.
He's been in a ton of movies.
Who is he in
Trying to think of
Zodiac?
one
I
that
own
I
Zodiac.
can-
I've seen that movie many times. He just works at the newspaper, huh?
Yeah. He's the
Yeah.
person that he bounces shit off of.
Right. The smallish role. I think he comes in at the. He's the guy who replaces Robert Downey Jr. When Robert Downey Jr. gets too wacky and has to leave. Goes to work
Yeah.
for the Sacramento Bee.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
He plays the
Yeah,
same
let's-
character in every movie, no matter like how different the character his world is. It's just
No, yeah,
I just play this one guy.
Yep. Agreed.
Deja Vu.
He's the Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
No.
but that's the movie that this guy reminds me of every time is Deja Vu.
Deja
Denzel
Vu
Washington.
with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He's the doctor. I don't know why. It's the one every time.
Huh.
it's like me
So
and Ed
we're
Harris with
dancing
History of
around it.
Violence.
We're dancing around it. So let's just get the wad out. Akiva Goldsman wrote this movie. Also wrote Batman and Robin. So
Two
yeah,
really great movies.
No.
no, right, two horrible movies. Actors. So
Dan.
Judd Hirsch plays the college professor. He was also Jeff Goldblum's dad in Independence Day. He Taxi. If anybody remembers Taxi, where we met Andy Kaufman and Danny DeVito, and
Damn,
Jesus,
that's
such
way
a
back.
such a classic, dude.
Can we
Mary Lou
Can we
Henner.
talk about Amy Walls?
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
She's got a really good Google image picture for the cast. She was the blonde. He was the blonde
Okay.
that made him discover his theory.
Right.
Oh,
If we all
yeah,
go for
Amy
the
Walsh.
blonde, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Blonde in the bar. That's her
Yep.
credit for the movie. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Didn't
said like
even
one
get a
line. I
name.
think it was what?
Right.
I don't even think she said
so-
what. I think she just looked over her shoulder.
Anthony Rapp is the name of the guy who accused, and probably rightfully so, and got an apology from Kevin Spacey, whatever. He's quite an accomplished singer, actually. That guy's like released albums. He was in Rent. I didn't realize he was such a big singer. Adam Goldberg, Mellish, The Vision.
I think
This
you
is as they're coming on the
intentionally-
screen.
You intentionally breezed over that Kevin Spacey part. Like, it just seems
I
like
brought
you
it
didn't
up.
care.
So I didn't breathe it. Whatever. Let's talk about the black guy in the movie.
There was a black guy in the movie?
No, there wasn't. Paul Bettany, Russell Crowe. So we just did Gladiator not long ago. Did we talk about like Russell Crowe's best of? Him and Ron Howard get back together for Cinderella Man in a few years after this, which I think is a phenomenal movie. Great depiction of what people went through in the Depression. Really, really good.
Isn't
Also,
he-
Romper Stomper. Remember Romper Stomper? Russ, you know that movie. Virtuosity. Do you remember Virtuosity?
Oh my god!
Like nobody
dude,
brings
they
that movie
talk about
up
a
ever.
callback. That's a fucking.
I always
callback.
remember that there are these like late 90s movies where they speculate on what the internet will become, and very few of them get it right. Nobody is from this movie and that, but Disclosure with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore, like what they thought the internet would be in that is basically like a filing cabinet that you virtually used. So fucking funny. Anyway, one of his best that you may or may not have
Les
seen,
Miserables.
The Nice Guys. Yeah, no, The Nice Guys. Either you guys seen that with Ryan Gosling?
Les Miserables.
No, Ben, just fuck you. No,
Hey,
I
the
haven't seen
book
it. What
is
about
great.
310 to Yuma, dude? You freaking completely blew
Right.
over that.
We've brought that up a number of times. I feel like
Master and Commander, which wasn't the best movie.
Ben
The
wanted to
the
say
next
something
3
about
days
The
was
Nice
a great
Guys.
movie.
Okay,
The Nice Guys.
I got
I recommend it.
Insider.
Really funny movie. The
I-
Insider. I think he was nominated for that, or that was nominated for Best Picture, or something like that.
Yeah, no,
I
Mystery
just-
Alaska. Have you seen that one? That one's pretty good.
I just have
The
to
hockey
say
one?
my new favorite role that or character or whatever that he has ever done ever is Zeus in the new Thor movie.
Oh my god! Fucking stop!
It was one of the
Just
only funny
stop.
parts. The movie was funny,
Dude.
but the overall completion of that story was not good.
If
I
you
actually saw a
just
funny little
think
tidbit
of-
where
if you just think of it as Russell Crowe as you're watching it happen, everything he says, you're like, it's kind of funny as he's saying it, but then as you realize Russell Crowe's making that accent and
yes.
saying those things, you're
Body
not
of
invited
lies.
to the orgy anymore. Like Russell Crowe
Right.
said that in that voice. Pretty
Yeah.
fucking funny.
Yeah, agreed. He was one of the funnier parts. I watched the thing where one of the actresses in there would say that he would come and practice in front of her trailer without thinking, thought he was in a little safe place where nobody's watching, and she'd be in her trailer watching him practice the voice and the movements and everything. And I thought, wow, what a dude. I hope you recorded it, but she didn't. Rance Howard. Ron Howard put his dad in this movie in a little role, which he does a lot. Which I always love. One of my favorite Rance Howard is Walk Hard. He's the preacher in Walk Hard who says, you know who has hands? The devil. And he uses them for holding. But didn't put his brother Clint in this movie. Like, that's
Wait, are
my
you
favorite
talking
thing
about
that Ron
Kevin
Howard
Spacey
does. No,
His hands are used.
Is-
for
Rance
holding.
Howard,
Is Bryce Dallas Howard his sister or something?
daughter.
Oh, really? Is
Daughter.
that old? Is she the
Yep.
is she the niece?
No, I think I did read in the trivia that she does have a small role, but it is not the niece. No, she's a very, very young child at this point.
Hmm.
And then Christopher Plummer plays the doctor who eventually points out you're living in Crazy Town. He's a pretty big time guy, but you guys probably have nothing to say about him. All right, Ron Howard, Opie, Richie
You keep saying
Cunningham
Opie.
in
I
Happy
don't
Days.
understand the Opie. I don't understand the Opie reference. Oh, some Happy Days. Okay, gotcha.
See,
Well, that's
it's
Richie
funny.
Cunningham. He's Opie in Andy Griffith's show. For real, dude?
I
It's-
don't know. Man.
When you say
That works.
Opie to me, I think
Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Philistines. So check this out. 14
You're just
year
a
run.
movie snob.
14-year run, right? Night Shift in 1981 or 82. Michael Keaton.
That's so good.
Right,
Oh, wait,
right.
no,
It's
no.
just
I was
like that
thinking
puts
Night-
him on the map.
Wait, no, I was thinking Night Court. Sorry, my bad.
You fucker. Splash, Cocoon, Gung Ho, Willow, Parenthood, Backdraft, Far and Away, The Paper, Apollo 13, and Ransom. Not one misstep. Far and Away might have been a little maybe what are you doing? But and then does Ed TV, and kind of from there it's it's not a heater every time.
okay. So
All right,
I
good
got
stuff.
a question.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
I got
I didn't have anything to argue with. That was fantastic. I mean, you just threw them all out there. Cocoon. You remember watching
It's true.
Cocoon? Cocoon was fucking
I do.
fantastic. Ed Harris.
I feel like
was
I
in
saw
that.
it in the theater, or that was one of the first VHS we ever rented.
Yeah.
you're a
Splash.
VHS.
I mean, fucking Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's fucking
a different movie.
fantastic. Tom Cruise.
That's a different movie with Tom Cruise.
That's
Okay.
on tape. We
I
recorded
got two
that.
questions for each of you. Joe, what was your least favorite part about this movie?
The fact that he shoved all those envelopes in that mailbox.
Wait, can you explain?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, isn't he a genius who at some point is like, wait a second?
I mean, yeah, like based on the nature of his disability, the fact that he continued to make those intelligence drops to the house and was able to consistently put all of those envelopes in that mailbox, and that they were still there when his wife finally connected the dots and went out there and got it. I mean, it wasn't a ridiculous stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, you're like, come on, how long has this been going on? 10 years?
All right.
Now, even if it was every month, even if it was only 2 years every month, I mean, that's a lot.
Okay, so Ben, what was your favorite part about the movie?
Jennifer Connelly when she tells the construction workers to fuck off. Jennifer Connelly when she comes into his office in the red dress, and every other time she's on the screen. She is an absolute smoke show and is just, it's like, Jesus
Pleasure
Christ,
to
dude.
watch.
I mean, you see her in the
Does
labyrinth
she-
as she's a young kid, and it's like, oh, she's actually a good actress. And then Career Opportunities comes out, and you're like, holy shit, this lady is amazing. And this movie, I feel like, just showcased the roundness of her ability and a complete smoke show.
Assets.
Okay, just
her assets.
is,
Ben admires her assets.
Jennifer Connelly, is she would you put her above or below Scarlett Johansson?
I mean, come on,
Okay.
knock it off.
All right,
right,
ScarJo.
so- Ben, now that you said all those things about Jennifer Connelly, do you really think this movie is a C minus?
Minus.
Isn't that what you gave it? A C minus?
I find this
And he's
movie
agreed
to
with
be
a lot of our commentary about how well done it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
and admittedly, we've
I
all
mean, it's a
poked
Ron
holes in
Howard
it,
film, but like, would I recommend this as, oh, you want to watch a movie about somebody overcoming a disability?
Yes.
No, watch Radio.
No, why can't you watch?
No, watch
why
this
can't
movie.
you acknowledge and recommend this movie based on the fact that for an hour, if you don't know anything about this movie, for an hour, you don't even know what the story is. And tell me,
I mean-
the first
Well,
time
and-
you watched
okay,
it, when they
okay,
got to the
okay.
punchline,
Well, here's the thing though. Like, I don't find him to be oh, I'm rooting for this guy in the first hour when you don't know what the story is. It's like, oh, he's trying to figure out an original idea. And his original idea is, I'm going to take somebody else's idea, say he didn't figure it out enough, and then come up with a continuation of it.
But that-
like,
which
But
is
Ben,
that's not original.
economics in college. I mean, that's basically all
Ben,
of
that's-
higher education.
That's
I mean-
real. That's like that's not even made up. That's a real thing that happened that affected
Boring.
it affected the financial planning and economic decisions of every country in Western civilization for like the last 50 years or 40, whatever. But
Never
No,
happened.
you're
All right.
older.
Totally
you're,
false.
you're old. 50 was right.
Joe, would you lower your score because you gave it an A plus and you said there were some things wrong with it? Would you come down to an A, or is it
I would
an A
I would
plus?
come down to an A based on the soundtrack. I hadn't thought about the soundtrack until Ben brought it up, but the minute he brought it up, it immediately spoke to me. And I really feel like they could have pushed this story with a better soundtrack. I feel like they really absolutely could have paced it better, made those moments more poignant. Like when she walks into that shed, since Ben's made the comment about the soundtrack, I'll never be able to watch that scene again without my own soundtrack playing in my head, because it could have been so much more poignant, so much more in the moment, so much more of a gut punch for every one of those reveals if they'd have dialed that soundtrack up. So I'll come down to A.
That's right. Come down to my level. One thing I will say, something I actually did enjoy, not just being a complete pig and talking about Jennifer Connelly, who is an absolute smoke show. The when him and Josh Lucas uh, rekindle, and he basically comes to Josh Lucas for help to try and get a grip on this, but he knows he needs to be active in the academic world. I feel like that's a really good part of the movie where this guy, they were kind of friendly rivals, and Josh Lucas has kind of come up and can help him, but without lording it over him. I thought that was done really well. He did try and sell him, orange buckets for 2 for $5, but still pretty good. Pretty,
I do like
pretty
the
good.
way they
It's
made
how our
Josh
doers get
Lucas's
more done.
character. You on the second and the third and even the fourth watch through, you realize Josh Lucas's character already knows this dude's going to change the world. And
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
he's even actually like the reason he gives him shit is that he's intimidated because he knows this dude's going to come off. This guy's the wild card.
Yeah.
And even though Josh
Honestly
Lucas'
enjoys the fact
character,
that John Nash is like, I read your papers and they're dog shit.
yeah, he's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, fuck somebody that's paying attention, bring it on, son. Let's do something. Let's change the world. Yeah, dude, his character comes full circle. I like that part too. Well noted there, Ben.
Yep.
We should be wrapping this up. So I've got two more things to add. One is
mine's really sad, so I'll do it at the end.
Because that's where we want to end.
Oh God, okay. I feel like I should save mine for after yours, but
yeah, you're gonna bring it back up. So unfortunately, John and Alicia Nash passed away in 2015. Car accident. Got ejected from the car. Very sad. It to me, I immediately was like, there are so many fatal car accidents. You just, God damn, man, drive defensively and watch out. People out there are not paying attention. I see the results of it every fucking day, and it's if I can advocate for one thing, it's like, God damn, slow down and pay attention. Put your phone down.
Dive into that. Want to dive into that and tell you how I learned about that as well, because I first I looked up the death date for John Nash, and then I was like, oh, it was recent, blah blah blah, and then I looked up his wife, Alicia Nash, and it was the exact same day, and my mind immediately went to this happy ending of, oh my God, they died like in the Notebook, where they go off together because they love each other so much.
They didn't die like that in the Notebook, did they?
Yeah, they just love each other so much.
All I remember is the Alzheimer hospital. The Notebook was fucked up.
No, it was actually a great movie. I'm picking that next.
Oh God, don't. No, come on. Come on, dude.
Anyways, no, and then I'm like, I Google it a little more,
down
and
to the left.
They both are taking a taxi home from the night that he won not the Forbes Prize, or Nobel Prize. God damn it. Can't do this prize thing tonight. But he won another prize after the Nobel Prize, and he was there that night. The only reason he was there was to accept the prize. He went there, accepted it, took a taxi home. That driver couldn't drive for shit and fucking flew into some random guardrail because a diesel truck did something in front of him, and they were both ejected from the car, and they both died. And that's really sad.
That's how John Nash died? Some random car accident?
Yep, on the New Jersey Turnpike. Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
I tell you what, guys, it could all go away tomorrow. Fucking drive safe.
That's right.
Heads up.
Yep.
He
Tell
was
the
old.
people you love.
They both kind of lived a good life, but
I
They
don't
did.
want to die ejected from a fucking taxi on the turnpike. Fuck that. That's horrible.
Two things. Yeah, that is horrible. Two things before we go.
If that
And this
semi
is-
had just equally pursued all the taxis on the turnpike, then John Nash would still be with us today.
Yeah,
And everybody would have
Well,
gotten over better.
maybe he probably would have died during
He's
COVID.
a little old. What do you got, Russ? What's your two things?
So we're a B plus average, rounding up. And last but not least, I think I think people need to know the order of importance on movies to watch of people overcoming adversity. So these are movies by Russ. Number 1, Forrest Gump. That's number 1. Number 2, It's a Beautiful Mind. Number 3, it's Radio. And number 4 is Simple Jack, starring Ben Stiller, featured in Tropic Thunder.
Oh my God, dude.
Simple Jack. Oh my God. You play
right,
Simple
so-
Jack. Golden Dragon. All right. We already did Tropic Thunder, right? I think so. Hit the like, the subscribe, click the link, watch Tropic Thunder. And next week, something completely different.